Good afternoon, and thank you for joining today's Lunch and Learn webinar, Pathways to Contracts and Service Opportunities for Minority-Owned Businesses. I'm Jessica Garrett-Modkins, president of Hip Rockstar, a full-service creative firm where delivering experiences, telling stories, and developing strategies converge to build brands that move audiences. I'm your moderator for this Lunch and Learn, and I'm honored to kick off today's session. On behalf of Florida Power and Light Company, our proud sponsor, and the Florida Association of Black Chambers of Commerce, our valued partner, we're excited to welcome you to this important conversation. This webinar is designed to provide minority-owned businesses with direct access to the tools, insights, and strategies needed to successfully pursue contracts and service opportunities with both corporate and public sector organizations. You'll hear from procurement professionals, industry leaders, and business development experts who are passionate about inclusive economic growth and creating equitable pathways for small and diverse businesses across Florida. Whether you're just beginning to explore vendor opportunities or looking to scale into larger contracts, we hope today leaves you better informed, better equipped, and more empowered. Thank you again for being here, and let's get started. Joining me today, I have three wonderful experts. I would like to begin with Fisha, and then we'll go to Jane and Catherine. Can you all please introduce yourselves?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I am Fisha Major of NextEra Energy, Florida Power and Light. I've been with the company now since 2021, and my history is of being a procurement professional. I've recently pivoted to being the workforce planning lead, but I'm still very deeply rooted in supply chain.
Jane?
Sure. Thank you, Jessica, and I'm happy to be here today with Fisha and Catherine. My name is Jane Jogwillow. I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives for the Florida SBDC, or Small Business Development Center Network. I've been with the organisation since 2011. We also have our Apex Accelerator program as part of the network, and I used to be the program manager of that program as well, and still overseeing it. And I'm just really happy to be here today.
Catherine?
Thank you. My name is Catherine Sanders. I am the Executive Director of the Office of Supplier Development for the Department of Management Services. And what we specialize in is connecting small businesses who are interested in government contracting. We provide those resources to them and provide tips and tricks on how to better respond and provide market research, connecting with those government agencies throughout the state.
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you all for joining us. And to our audience, if you have any questions tonight throughout today's Lunch and Learn, please feel free to send them our way, whether you're experiencing this on X, IG, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. Just drop your questions and we'll try to get those answered before the show is over. So to all of our speakers, based on your experience, what's one misconception about the contracting process that minority-owned businesses should be aware of right away? And anyone can take that question.
Jessica, I'd be happy to take that question. Just in my opinion, I think there may be sometimes a little preconception that it's an easy process and it happens quickly. It is a journey. You do need to be prepared, be patient, put in a lot of work behind the scenes. So that would be my main takeaway for that question.
And Catherine, okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say I'll piggyback off of that. I think that a lot of companies engage with the contracting process misinformed about the intricacies of it and what is required of them before they get to that point. So I always attempt to encourage suppliers to make sure you have all of your ducks in a row and fully understand the process before dipping your feet in there.
Yes, definitely. I agree with both ladies. It just doesn't stop after you've opened your business. You have to continue with that market research. You have to figure out who your competition is and do your market research on that side and connect with the business or company that you want to subcontract with or the agency you would like to do business with. It is a manner of kind of doing that door-to-door knocking and networking to make sure that you stay connected and you're meeting your customers' needs.
And Catherine, that takes me to the next questions that I did want to ask. So you began networking, and then what are some other first steps that small business owners should consider when exploring this new sector of attempting to obtain business and contracting opportunities?
I think definitely knowing that there is more than one company just like them. A lot of companies do the same thing, and it's a manner of finding out what you can do differently. So if a company or agency is asking for something specifically and you know that your competitor has probably already been working with them, it's what I recommend is that company just ask the question, I recognize that you've spent this much with this agency or with this company, and ask them, how did it work? Was there anything that you felt was missing throughout your relationship with that particular customer or agency? And figure out and just display what you can do better. If it's something how you're, selling purple sticky notes, how would you get them delivered to them? Maybe you could have them delivered on a daily basis. It's a matter of figuring out how you differ and how your company stands out, because you have to build those relationships with the agency, especially in government contracting. They're used to working with the same vendors every year. So you just have to continue to network and build those connections.
Excellent point. Jane, can you walk us through, or Catherine or Fisha, can you walk us through the vendor process and what may be overlooked by a small business owner that could delay or disqualify their application?
I guess on the federal side of it, I can probably talk to best, and Catherine, particularly you on the state side. The vendor registration process is, just opening the door, if you like. To be a federal contractor, the first thing you need to do is have a system for award management vendor registration, or a sam.gov account, and you'll need to have all your details ready before you, bank account details, your entity information. Make sure you've got all of that before you start the process. It can take a little bit of time. Just a word of warning as well, it's everything, particularly, on the federal side, it is absolutely free. So if you do a Google search for sam.gov or system for award management.gov, and you'll get sponsored ads of people that are going to charge you, $500, $1,000 upwards and upsell you. You don't need to do that. It is completely free, but just make sure you have all the correct information to basically have that entry point into federal contracting. So that's, if you don't have a correct SAM or a valid sam.gov registration as a vendor, you're not able to get any contracts or get paid. So that would be my tip in the first instance. So just be a little patient working through that process. They do need to validate your business name and all of those types of things. So just make sure you have all your information with you before you start the registration process. They do have a help desk as well. If you've got some technical difficulties, but that would be my advice.
Definitely, I agree. It is a manner of just taking your time and completing that registration process. The state definitely encourages small businesses and all businesses who want to do work with the state to register in My Florida Marketplace, register on SunBiz. That's one of the questions that you will see throughout solicitation documents? Are you registered? That is a way that you will receive notifications of advertisements. Another thing that our office specializes in is certifying those businesses that are interested in receiving that veteran, minority, or women-owned certificate. And we encourage businesses to just have all your documentation with you, set some time, at least an hour and a half throughout the day, just to make sure that you're reading those questions for understanding. And if you do have any specific questions, just reach out to us and we'll definitely be able to help you along the way. But it's just a matter of taking that time to complete that process. The state doesn't necessarily do set-asides for certain businesses that qualify, that have that certain designation, the veteran, minority, or women-owned, but the city and counties, they definitely seek veteran, women, or minority-owned businesses. So it's a good designation to have, even if you're not going to be able to utilize it at the state level.
And I would like, and I'd like, oh, I'm sorry, Fisher, you go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go for it.
Sure. I'm just going to add in there very quickly. If you also, we're talking about government contracting, and don't forget, all the cities, the municipalities, the counties, we do, all of that local contracting is a great market as well. But if, you're going to, for example, where I am up in Northwest Florida, say, for example, you wanted to do business with the Tri-County area here, Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, each county has their own, vendor registration process. So I find, if you get onto the official county website, type in procurement or purchasing in the search bar, you'll usually get to it. So it is a lot of work, as Catherine was saying, but it is worth doing it to open those avenues as well in the local government contracting landscape. But just because, say, for example, you register with Santa Rosa County doesn't mean you're automatically registered with the 67 counties in the state of Florida. So there's also that.
And FP&L's process is a bit unique in that it's somewhat twofold. So to actually be onboarded as a vendor, we don't have a public facing platform for you to do so, but we do have access to our supplier portal that businesses can access and log their details in for our procurement specialists to go and vet in the event their service or material is needed. But even within that, mirroring what Catherine and Jane have said, just please be sure that you are filling out every requested detail as efficiently as possible. Make sure you have all of those ducks in a row so when agents do come to poach your business, there's no question about what you're offering or your qualifications or who you are.
Fisher, to your point, with there not being any public-facing way for businesses to position themselves to become a part of your identity, your new vendors, what are the measures that they should take in order to position themselves for FP&L?
Yeah, it's a bit manual and physical. In addition to registering yourself with our supplier portal, because that is something that our agents are leveraging every day, you kind of have to hit the ground running and knock on doors and network and build in-person relationships as much as possible. I hear often our business unit requesters say they met a supplier at a conference or they met them at a community activities. So just be doing your due diligence to learn the spaces that your prospective company will be in, FP&L specifically, and show yourself there and brand yourself properly, have phenomenal conversations, and that does transfer over into the business side for consideration.
Fisher, based on your experience, what are some expectations or things that you've seen that have set one small business above another?
I'll say those small businesses that do their due diligence to learn our company and our needs and our standards and our protocols as much as they possibly can and speak to us from that perspective, present themselves from that perspective, help them stand out amongst the crowd. when we're attempting to get work done or have services rendered, it's a bit cumbersome to have to speak through who we are and what we need. Of course, that dialogue is going to happen, but as much information as companies can come equipped with as possible helps them to have a leg up against their competition.
Fisha, also when it comes to certifications, Jane and Catherine mentioned this. Are there some qualifications that you think would allow small businesses to really stand out and make the big difference in winning a contract?
Yeah. So any certification that's pertinent for your line of business, please obtain it. And then in addition to that, we have a hyper focus on safety. Our leadership is very stringent about our safety protocol. So any OSHA qualifications that companies can obtain or ensuring that their EMR rating is up to par is definitely helpful and consideration for engaging them for business, especially those providers that will be on our sites providing services.
Jane or Catherine, is there anything that you would like to add to this discussion on certifications? I know you touched on it earlier, but is there anything else that you wanted to add on this?
Yes, certainly, adding on to Fisher's discussion, particularly on the federal side, obviously Catherine could explain that the state certifications, but on the federal side, if a certification does apply to you and your business, certainly go through that process. So the Small Business Administration at the federal level, the SBA, administers the small business certifications, so you can be a woman-owned small business, an 8A small business, which is, demonstrating social and economic disadvantage. Of course, there's our veteran-owned small businesses and service disabled veteran-owned small businesses. And also, if you have a number of set amount of employees in a certified hub zone, you can also get a certification for that. And you may have multiple certifications as they apply to your business. So you might be a service disabled veteran-owned small business and also hold the woman-owned small business. And there's different time lengths that you can be certified for. It's usually a couple of years, and the SBA has done a great job on their website of taking you through that process. It's through the certified.sba.gov website. To get further information. Again, it might take a little bit of time, but just make sure you've got all of your, proper business documentation up front before you start the certification process, so you don't get like halfway through and then it's like, oh, sorry, we need more information. It kind of holds the whole approval process up. So yeah, if it applies, that certainly can be another differentiator for your business.
Definitely. The state has similar requirements. Of course, we're statute driven, so there are certain specifics for that veteran designation and that woman-owned or minority-owned business. And our certification does last for 2 years. And so the recertification process does not require as much as the original certification process, but we definitely detail all of that information on our public facing website, down to the contact information, but literally all the things that you would need. It's a lot of information, but it's very detailed on the website. And so we'll definitely be able to link it within our chat.
So we have discussed certification and positioning yourself to win a contract. What happens once you've won the contract? What are some things that you can do to ensure that it is a repeat contract that comes back? Fisha, what are some of the things that you've seen that have positioned minority or just small-owned businesses to be able to have repeat business?
Yeah. So I think a theme that keeps recurring in our chat is networking and relationship building. Whenever businesses rather are awarded the opportunity to engage FP&L for service, build relationships, talk to the key stakeholders, brand your company properly, and that transfers and ripples into future opportunities for sure. When we're sitting in the rooms identifying our purchasing strategies and which companies will be engaged. A question that's definitely asked is, well, have we worked with them before, and what was that experience like? So build relationships, intentionally network. Also, make sure you can execute. Make sure that you efficiently and adequately understand the scope of work that you'll be taking on so that you can deliver within the allotted time frame according to the deliverables that were identified in originating discussions. And also, communication is key. I know that's cliche, and I know that it's mirrored in everything in life, but being able to adequately communicate any issues that arise or communication period.
And so for Catherine and Jane, what are some best practices for staying engaged with the contracting agency or prime contractor in between contract opportunities? I know we mentioned networking, but are there other things that they should be considering?
Definitely. It does not stop. If you've missed an opportunity to respond to a solicitation or a contract that is already active that your company is well versed in, definitely I'm going to echo it as well, and I know Jane will probably say the same. You definitely have to continue to make those connections, but do your research. A lot of all of the cities and counties, definitely the state, has all of the contract information available on public facing websites where you know the expiration date, you know who the prime contractors are. And some of them may be your neighbors, they're in the same city or driving distance. All of their contact information at least should be on the city or state's website. And just reach out to them and say, hey, I recognize that you've been awarded in this particular category. We are well versed in this. We have executed many projects in this particular area that you're awarded in. How can we get together and work together on any future business that you may have? So that's something that you can do at a state level while a contract is active, because you can't onboard new primes, but you can prime can onboard a subcontractor. So that is definitely a great tool. Going back to the market research, the state has a system called the Florida Accountability Contract Tracking System. And what that system provides is all the executed purchase orders that agencies have spent on their agency specific contracts as well as the state's contracts. And there you will be able to see, like I said earlier, what your competitors have made off this particular product or service that they're offering to the agency. And you can reach out to that agency and say, I see that you're doing this type of business, but I didn't see that you purchased this type of service from this company. Here's what we can do. Is this something that interests you? You just have to kind of go about it a different way. And you're in the background, in between contracts, you are building those relationships, and they will remember you because you're not necessarily pestering, you're just offering a better service in a different way.
Okay.
And I would really echo that, Catherine. I think you said it best. You're not pestering. You're not going to be calling them every day and blowing up their inbox. It's just a matter of that ongoing engagement. A couple of things that we recommend is, just keep up to date with what if you're targeting a particular agency or a group of agencies, keep up to date with what's going on in those agencies. Things are changing and priorities change so often. Reorganizations, different directions. So keep up to date with that. If you want to set up a Google search or something, connect with the contracting officers or the program managers, particularly on LinkedIn, is a good way a lot of information gets out there. If you're, for example, working with, another customer, another agency on a project, there's no harm in just letting them know that what you're doing. We always tell our small business clients, celebrate any success, put that out on LinkedIn. Don't be ashamed of it. Keep your name out there. And, there's really so many events that are going on, on a constant basis around the state, in person or virtual. Take advantage of those. You will always learn something or make a new connection at some of those, whether it's agency personnel, other small businesses that perhaps could be a teaming partner, prime contractors that you may potentially do subcontracting for. So, don't sort of, finish a contract and waiting for the next solicitations to come out and proposals to write. Sort of keep that engagement going. I know it, can take up time, but it's time well invested to keep yourself and your business out there.
So I don't know where the time went, but before we leave, Fisha, you've touched on how to become a business with FP&L, and that is through networking. Jane and Catherine, can you please share ways that small businesses can become listed with your agencies before we leave?
Definitely go to our My Florida Marketplace system and register your business, selecting all of the commodity codes that are applicable to the types of services or products that you offer. Register with the Florida Department of State, sunbiz.org. That will definitely ensure that you are an active vendor, you're on file, you're legit, if you will. That is the thing that we definitely encourage. You will receive notifications for those commodity codes selected, and you just continue to research and explore our vendor information portal to ensure that you are not missing a beat as it pertains to the services or products that you offer.
Jane?
Sure. To become one of our clients, again, we have our Florida SBDC Small Business Development Center network. We help you with all aspects of your business. The more specialized program is our Florida Apex Accelerator, which is specifically for government contracting. So we have a checklist on the Apex side. So if you're not ready, business ready, you really haven't had any sales, it might be a bit premature. I really encourage you to register as a vendor. It's floridasbdc.org. Become a client. Again, all of our services are no cost to you. So you register online. We'll set you up with an initial appointment with one of our consultants. If you're already, in the government contracting arena or you want more specific government contracting assistance, flapex.org. You can register online. It all goes into the same database. We're kind of a one-stop shop, if you like. A couple of things I just wanted to close out with. Do your research. Agencies are out there. Who's buying what and who your competitors are. You can do that free of charge. The federal government has a great site, much like My Florida Marketplace for the state. I really recommend, have a look into usaspending.gov, usaspending.gov. Do some initial research. If you're unfamiliar with NAICS codes and things, it's like commodity codes at the state level. Census.gov is a great resource for looking up if you're in construction or manufacturing or, hundreds and hundreds of them. So that's it. And best of luck to everyone.
And thank you so much. It was so much information. Maybe we can have a part 2 of this because it was so much I wasn't able to delve in. And to you, our audience, thank you for spending your lunch with us. We hope you're leaving with greater clarity and confidence on your path to new contracts and partnerships. To stay informed about future events, visit floridablackchambers.com or follow them on Facebook at Florida Black Chambers. And I know you want to know what's next. We will be in Fort Lauderdale for Empowering Minority Entrepreneurs. That's on October the 2nd. And on October the 30th, it will be Strengthening Minority-Owned Businesses. We thank you all again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time.